Hey guys, it's G. Welcome back to my channel. This week I'm doing another From Pantry to Plate. Now I've already looked at my fridge and my pantry and I gathered some ingredients based on what I had lying around. So I know what I'm going to make, but I want you guys to guess in the comments below based on the ingredients that I'm about to show you what you think I'm going to make. Your only hint is that both recipes were snow day inspired in honor of all the snow that I'm getting on the day that I am filming this. So let's get cooking and you guys can get guessing. So I know it may have been kind of hard to tell what I was making, but it's baked French toast. So first I am just taking half a loaf of bread and I'm cutting it into cubes. If you have any kind of bread that you particularly like, I would suggest using that. I'm just using regular loaf bread for like sandwiches and stuff like that. I believe mine's whole wheat too. But this is what I had on hand. It's the nature of From Pantry to Plate. I just had whatever was lying around. And I'm just moving it to a bowl and making sure that they're all broken down into the squares that I was cutting them into. And then after that's done, I'm taking 4 eggs and I'm just cracking them into a separate bowl. And then after that's done, I'm taking 1 cup of milk and adding it to my eggs. You can use any kind of milk you want, and if you use like heavy cream or any kind of creamer instead, it will be a little bit more rich. But I just used almond milk for this recipe, and honestly it turned out fine. But for French toast, usually they do suggest that you use a kind of cream if you want something that's more rich in flavor. So now I'm just beating them together and making sure that the eggs get this kind of yellow color. So that way, or the whole combination gets this kind of yellow color. Because that way you'll know that the eggs won't scramble when you put them into the oven. That's what you don't want. You want everything to cook together, not separately. And now I'm adding a little bit of cinnamon. This is optional. I really love cinnamon, so I put it basically on everything. Now I'm adding some vanilla extract. I just eyeballed this, but it's about a teaspoon. And then I'm mixing this together again. And now my secret ingredient is cherries. And I am taking the juice of these frozen cherries that I had sitting out. And I'm just going to add that juice into my mixture. These are dark red sweet cherries, in case anyone was wondering. You can use any kind of fruit in this, or no fruit at all. I really did like the way that the cherries made the whole thing taste. So I would recommend trying this if you like cherries. And you can go ahead and mix that together. If you had white bread instead of wheat bread, it would probably dye the bread red, which is super great for Valentine's Day and other things like that. So if you were looking to make it all super pretty and different, then try some white bread in this kind of recipe. Now here I just broke the cherries down so they were in little pieces, and I moved some to the side to add to the top later. And I'm going to go ahead and add everything in now that those pieces are broken down. And I'm just mixing this all again, making sure it's all incorporated. And then I'm spraying a square baking dish. You want to make sure this is sprayed super well. I was running out of cooking spray, which was a mistake on my part, but it still worked fine. You just want to make sure that it's sprayed so that way nothing sticks. And so I'm adding all of my bread cubes into the pan here. I found that a half a loaf was the perfect size for this size pan. And then I'm pouring this mixture over top. And you can see all the cherries coming out, sitting on, and they're all incorporated in. And I'm just mixing it around. Looking back, I could have probably mixed it in the bowl and it'd be a little bit easier to turn. But once it kind of looked like this, I was totally fine. And I just went back with some of the cherries and put the ones I had sitting to the side on top, filled in all the spots. Even though the cherries just mixed around because I put some of them in there, it was nice that I put some to the side because I was able to make sure that they were evenly distributed around the whole thing. And now while that is sitting and soaking up all of that goodness, we're going to make a topping for the baked French toast. So I am taking 2 large tablespoons of butter and melting them in a pan. And then once it's melted down a little bit, I'm adding some coconut sugar. You can use brown sugar in place, but again, this is from pantry to plate, so this is the only kind of sugar that I had on hand. And I just melted it down. And eventually it looked like this, so I took it off the heat. And I just poured it right on top. And then I put this into the oven and I let that bake for around 30 to 40 minutes. You really just want it to sit until it's a little crispy on top. Now for a second recipe, while that's cooking, I'm making some cinnamon hot chocolate. So I just filled my favorite mug with a cup of milk and I put 2 cinnamon sticks into the pot on low to medium heat. You don't want to boil this, so you want to just make sure it gets warm and cooks. And I'm using cacao powder here, so I'm just putting 2 heaping teaspoons of cacao powder into the pot. Oh, also I used almond milk for this, but again, you could use regular milk or any kind of milk that you like to drink. And I'm mixing it around so I can get all the clumps out and so it can kind of turn into a hot chocolate. So eventually it's going to get this nice brown color. And I took some agave and some maple syrup and I added about a teaspoon of each of those. Because there are no raw ingredients in this and I made this for just me, once it's warmed a little and everything's cooked for a little while, you can go ahead and taste it, see if it's too sweet, see if it's not sweet enough, make sure the cinnamon flavor's there. I found those 2 cinnamon sticks were perfect. And there it is. A little messy because I lost a lot of my footage from the hot chocolate, but it was awesome. And then right after that is done cooking, your French toast should be done and look like this. You can see that the bread is obviously crispy and everything is cooked together. And it should come out in little cubes and have this perfect texture. The cherries really brought everything together. I was so glad that I incorporated them and I just had them at the side of my hot chocolate. And it was a great snow day treat. So that's all that I have for this week. I hope you guys now have a new favorite hot chocolate and are ready to try some amazing baked French toast. If you are, then give my video a thumbs up, comment below, and subscribe to my channel so you can check out more content next week.